Hello, Zachary Shade here to talk about Bob Woodward's book, Fear, Trump in the White House, that came out today on September 11th, 2018. I'm not going to make a joke about that. So far, I have gotten through 6 chapters, so about 66 pages. The book is a total of 456, so I'm not super far into it, but I just have a couple thoughts. Just off the beginning, just to get it out of the way. I do not consider myself a Democrat, nor am I a Hillary Clinton supporter. In fact, I actively dislike her. But that doesn't stop me from realizing that Donald Trump is an idiot and incompetent and unfit for political office. Crimes aside, that are alleged at this point. So, the point of reading this book, though, for me, isn't for some gossip book to find out about how people were stealing documents off Trump's desk so he'd forget about them, or Omarosa saying that she walked in on him eating paper. I want some sort of juicy gossip nonsense. I wanted to read this book just to really see what it was exactly, and so far I'm enjoying it. It's just a look for me so far into how we got here. It's actually pretty funny that it would almost be like an American dream underdog story if where we were today wasn't where we were today, but the bumbling idiot that nobody thought could win, that even lost support from his own party by judging, or a tape being released about his bragging about sexual assault, winning the election against all odds, and then warming the heart of the American people by doing a good job, which the last sentence didn't happen at all, but it's quite a fascinating read. And there's some other stuff too that's pretty interesting. As far as Paul Manafort goes, Donald Trump, oh, I barely knew him, he was barely in charge of the campaign, which sounds like, on the surface, that he's just lying to try and distance himself from this guy who has now been convicted of many counts of fraud, nothing having directly to do with the president yet, although his second trial is coming up pretty soon, I think. Next week, maybe, the 18th. But yeah, so there's a passage about how when Manafort was the campaign manager before Steve Bannon took over after Trump actually got the GOP nomination, and it's basically Trump just didn't like him at all at that point. He was usually just too busy out golfing or whatever, and just, he has people to deal with the Paul Manafort side of things and running the campaign, so he actually could have just had limited interaction with Paul Manafort, and he didn't like him, certainly, from the beginning. Kellyanne Conway and Steve Bannon both referred to him as Mr. Trump all the time, but Manafort referred to him as Donald, like a first name thing, blah blah blah, lack of respect or something. Who knows with Trump, but I mean, his narcissistic personality traits, at the very least, if not confirmed disorder, could see that being an issue. And Manafort just was more of a conventional campaign manager, like trying to do things by how campaigns are run, whereas Bannon was more like Wild West run and gun kind of campaign style that worked for Trump. But so anyway, I mean, in his own mind, he could think that he barely knows Paul Manafort, or he wasn't really a part of the campaign, which actually it seems like he somewhat wasn't. I mean, it doesn't excuse any sort of crime, no matter how briefly it was committed. But it's just an interesting look into Donald Trump and his train of thought, and like who he is, how this election happened, how we got to where we are today. That's so far what has happened in this book. I mean, obviously, there's quotes of people saying negative things about Donald Trump because that's just what's gonna happen. There's negative things to be said about the man. But I don't think that the book has any sort of outright liberal bias thus far. I mean, who knows how it'll go once we get more into the book, but as of right now, it just is like, hey, these are things that happened, which is what I was looking for. It's not juicy gossip. It's just pretty tame, actually, and like I said, it's almost you want to root for them while you're reading the book, if you didn't know any better of what would have come. So, yeah, I say it's definitely worth the read. Most Trump supporters are probably just going to dismiss it as fake news, slander, liberal, blah, 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 but that's not what it is, and then probably actually a whole bunch of anti-Trump people are also just not going to read it and take out only the little, snippets that the media can use for sensationalism, like, oh, look at this dumb thing that happened, but there's, 400 other pages of book. And so I think it's definitely worth the read for anybody who's even mildly interested in not just choosing one side or the other bipartisan bullshit, which is why there's no progress ever made in this company. Yeah, see, here we go. He wants to run it like a business, and now I'm calling the United States a company. But yeah, anyway, just to read a book and actually just kind of have like an insider perspective into what happened, if that's of interest to you at all, I say go pick this up and read it. And as I continue to read it, I'll at least do one more when I'm finished with the book review. If there's anything really interesting that happens over the next whatever amount of chapters that I feel like I need to make a separate video for it, I can do that as well. So, normally at the end of the videos you're supposed to go, what do you think? Put it down in the comments section. I don't want to know what the fuck any of you think. I'm not going to disable the comments, but just read the book or don't. Get into an argument in my comment section. I don't care. You do you, internet. But, yeah, so stay tuned for more reviews of Fear, Trump in the White House by Bob Woodward.